Minglaba and welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I am Agacho. Today we report on government's housing implementation likely to develop its environments. COVID-19 and parasite outbreaks could hurt honey production and export this year. Yangon making progress in market upgrades, and Myanmar merchants request extension or import schedule for green grams. All of that on this edition of Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. Union Minister for Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement Dr. Wimya A. visited Thanlien Youth Training School, Youth Rehabilitation Center in Yangon Region, and Myanmar Youth Training School in Mon State, highlighting the importance of sports, music, and reading for the training schools on the 14th and 15th of August, respectively. During his visit to Thanlien Youth Training School and Myanmar Youth Training School, the headmasters and the teachers of the schools explained the matters related to the training schools. Foreign investments of $116.557 million have flowed in the special economic zones (SEZs) under the special economic zone law as of the July end in the 2019 and 2020 financial year since October 2019, according to the figures released by the Directorate of Investment and Company Administration (DICA). Since its establishment, over 110 enterprises from 18 countries and 4 local businesses have flowed in nearly $2 billion as of July end 2020 in the zones, the investment source indicated. While the manufacturing sector has absorbed the largest share of the foreign investments, FDI has also flowed into trading, other services, transport and logistics, real estate and hotel sectors. Japan has topped the list of foreign investors so far, accounting for over 34%, followed by Singapore and Thailand. The Financial Regulatory Department under the Ministry of Planning, Finance and Industry will provide 59.498 billion checks to the tea shops and small restaurants hit hard by the COVID-19 impacts at an interest rate of 2% per annum, according to the department's announcement on the 15th of August. They can seek for a loan through 44 microfinance companies in the respective regions and states, with 9 in Kachin State, 5 in Gya State, 6 in Kayin State, 2 in Chin State, 14 in Sky Region, 5 in the Nindai Region, 21 in Bago Region, 13 in Magwe Region, 10 in Mon State, 5 in Rakhine State, 18 in Yangon, 11 in Shan State, and 12 in the Irrawaddy Region. The tea shops and small restaurants can take out a loan from 3.5 to 10 million jets, depending on their initial investments. That's all with the local news. Now we will move on to our first report. The responsible persons of the government are striving for the implementation of the low-cost and affordable housing in order to address the difficulties of the grassroots in living condition in the country. This move is likely to develop its environs in and around where the implementations are being carried out, according to the real estate entrepreneurs. Housing projects are under implementation in outskirt areas and satellite towns in Yangon, where laying down policies and setting different time frames. Moreover, the implementation of the housing projects is being undertaken in densely populated townships. It was reported by Nzueman, Jenai Laugai, Minton Ochin and Jide.
The responsible persons of the government are striving for the implementation of low-cost and affordable housing in order to address the difficulties of the grassroots in living conditions in the country. This move is likely to develop its environs in and around where the implementations are being carried out, according to real estate entrepreneurs. Housing projects are under implementation in the outskirt areas and satellite towns in Yangon after laying down policies and setting different time frames. Moreover, the implementation of housing projects is being undertaken in densely populated townships. U Dan U is vice chairman of Myanmar Real Estate Services Development Association, and he said,
As far as I know, there are 6,000 apartments in the first phase. Another more than 5,700 apartments are to be implemented, especially in and around number 3 Main Road and number 2 Main Road to Highway Road in Dagomyode South and East. The policies of the government have effects on economy. This means it includes such housing projects. Planning new towns and project implementations all have effects on the real estate market. If there are such projects, houses and land plots near there will be high in demand. The price has gone up a little. For example, it was 10 years ago that the news of the construction of the bridge connecting Dalat with Yangon appeared. Since then, the land plots on the side of Dalat have been in high demand. Until now, the prices have not gone down. The prices of land plots are too high for the people to buy. The prices are high at a time when the bridge is under construction.
ဖော်ဆောင်မယ်ဆိုရင်အဲ့နေရာတွေကအယောင်းဝယ်လိုက်နေတယ်တစ်ချိန်တည်းမှာပဲဈေးကွက်ကလည်းလှုပ်ရှားမှုရှိတယ်ဒါကတော့ထုံးစံ
The apartments of low-cost housing and affordable housing are being sold through long-term installment plan, and the move is aimed at the grassroots being able to buy the apartment in an easy way. In doing so, the opportunity for owning the apartments will be on the increase among the people. U Nemendu, managing director of iMyanmarHouse.com, also spoke to MI Radio.
Under the leadership of the government, the low-cost and affordable housing is under implementation. Now Yangon has a new town plan, and it is welcomed. If such project is successful, numerous housing and apartment will come out. If the government partner with private entrepreneurs in the implementation of housing projects in the forms of rental or sale, apartment ownership will increase in number in Myanmar. Housing loan system was introduced in the real estate market in 2018, and it was popular among the people. If someone wants to buy an apartment, 30% of the value of the apartment has to be paid first, and the rest 70% can be paid with the bank loan.
Some real estate service providers pointed out that low-cost and affordable housing are good service systems for the dwellers. The move should be effective enough for those who are really in need. Some people think these housing projects are not meant for them. If so, the buying interest may be in decline. Apart from the implementation of the housing projects, the government should conduct awareness of housing and pave the way for the grassroots to be able to buy the apartments without difficulty. Ko Kaung Du Win, who is founder of TradeProperty.com, also spoke to MI Radio.
During these days, the government is planning to implement low-cost and affordable housing, including housing for rental. We call it low-cost housing located in the Komyote North, especially in Boba 2 housing. The price is medium level, about 40 million jets or 50 million jets. The housing projects are going to be implemented. How will these apartments be sold? How much is that apartment? We don't know exactly where the prices are suitable for the grassroots. Over the past few years, the government employees and retired ones were prioritized by drawing lots. We have heard that the housing for rental will be built, and we are glad to hear that. We will have to monitor who are prioritized and who own these apartments. There is no significant effect on real estate market so far.
The chance of developing in and around the places of housing projects will be on the increase. The prices of houses and land plots will be higher once the projects have been completed. It is certain that the implementations of the housing projects will contribute toward regional and national development.
That's a report on government's housing implementation likely to develop its environs. Due to the circumstance of COVID-19 and limitation, the beekeepers have faced the difficulties of migrating the bees and the beehives from one place to another. Thailand, Singapore, Canada, and Japan are the main buyer countries of Myanmar honey, and currently these countries have stopped buying the honey. So the beekeepers are facing the market scarcity and loss of income. Ang Mu and Pyotiritu has more.
Due to the impact of global pandemic COVID-19 and the danger of Varroa Yakap Sandy mites, caused the beekeepers and the beef livestock to face difficulties, and the production of honey is likely to drop in coming season of May honey flow. U Aung Nainton is the township officer of Beekeeping Department from Bien Ule. He said the challenges being faced by the beekeepers currently.
Due to the circumstance of COVID-19 and limitation, the beekeepers have faced the difficulties of migrating to the bees and beehives from one place to another. Thailand, Singapore, Canada, and Japan are the main buyer countries of Myanmar honey, and currently these countries have stopped buying the honey. So the beekeepers are facing the market scarcity and loss in revenue.
At present, the food source for bees becomes shortage, and the bees are only fed with supplementary food. And the occurrence of the disease is leading to the loss of workforce on bees during beehive build-up period, and the treatments are processing in emergency. Ujiso is the secretary of Mandalay Region Private Beekeeper Association. He said the detailed information about the control and treatment of Varroa jacobsoni mites.
It is the second time occurrence of the Varroa jacobsoni mites in Myanmar. The Varroa jacobsoni mites destroyed about 50% of the total bees and beehives since the first time. That's why the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Irrigation are arranging the necessary and emergency response plan for private bee camps on controlling and treatment of the disease.
Among the world honey market, Myanmar raw honey is famous for being 100% natural and free from antibiotic. But according to the current situation, the antibiotics have to be used to cure the danger of Varroa jacobsoni mites. The production of honey, which is produced from the bees living in the palm tree, is going to be manufactured at the beginning of the September. But while prioritizing disease control and treatment, the production of honey is likely to be affected due to the fewer workforces of bees. Speaking to MR Radio, U Win Aung, Deputy Director, Beekeeping Department, Mandalay Region, said,
In Mandalay region, there are 247 the private beekeepers and 60,083 beehives. Over 2,320,000 pounds of honey were produced in 2019-2020 fiscal year from these bee camps. At the present, the production of honey is going to decrease due to the loss of beehives in this year.
That's a report on COVID-19 and parasite outbreaks could hurt honey production and export this year. Under the guidance of the Yangon Region Government, Yangon City Development Committee is working to maintain and upgrade the markets within municipal area of Yangon. There are 184 markets in 4 districts of Yangon, and the YCDC open for market operator system at any market the investors want to invest in.
When shaping up Yangon in terms of urban characteristic, the role of traditional markets stands as necessity to place the emphasis. There are 184 markets in 4 districts of Yangon, which are identified as A, B, C, and D levels. There are also tax-free markets. In East District, there are 54 markets, including 1 tax-free market. 28 markets in West District, including 2 tax-free markets. 41 markets in South District, including 1 tax-free market. And 61 markets, including 3 tax-free markets in North District. Under the guidance of the Yangon Region Government, Yangon City Development Committee (YCDC) is collaborating with private companies to perform the upgrading of the markets. Dr. Myan Aung, member of the YCDC, explained about the upgrading system for the markets.
When upgrading the markets, we call for BOD system or implement by YCDC. When upgrading the BOD system, we call the private companies for tender. Then it is also necessary to negotiate between the sellers and the company, demonstrating what kind of market the sellers want and how the company can adjust. For every project, we are working under the guidelines of Yangon region government. We prioritize transparency, fair price, and sellers agreement. At every market, we design market operator system. Some markets need immediate repair, and then we utilize our own budget. For the upgrading of huge projects, we have to take time with the legitimate frame.
Currently, Mingla Market and Damui Market have already been contracted with the companies for upgrading. Udan Zenton, Deputy Director of Markets Department of YCDC, explained more.
At present, we are upgrading the Mingala market and it has now completed 50% of the construction. Also for the Damui market upgrading, the responsible company and the YCDC are working for area clearance and moving the sellers to the temporary market. In other market, the YCDC is carrying out maintenance within the allowed annual budget. Previously, the markets were only built on plain land, but now concrete floor is built and it becomes easier to clean the market.
In March of 2020, the YCDC has opened for the market operator system in the remaining markets except the currently upgraded ones. Until May of 2020, 14 companies have submitted the EOI expression of interest applications to invest in the markets.
Under the guidance of Yangon region government, we are striving to upgrade our markets in accord with international standard. We apply market operator system in order to reduce the expense from the annual budget. The companies can invest in the markets of Yangon excluding the currently upgraded ones. 14 companies propose to invest in 16 markets. The committee forming with the relevant organizations, associations, and experts are to review the profile for the companies who submitted the EOI for further processes.
The proposed markets to be invested in are from Tinganjong Township, Line Township, South Oklaba Township, North Oklaba Township, Shuibida Township, Dobong Township, Mingla Daunyo Township, Bahan Township, Dala Township, Lakeda Township, Dainji Market 4, and Sambia Night Market. YCDC is acting as the negotiator and supervisor between the sellers and the companies. As part of boosting the market facilities, during the outbreak of COVID-19, manpower was reinforced. 669 basins were placed at the markets, and 50 thermometers were distributed to the crowded ones as well. That's all about Yangon making progress in market upgrading.
That's a report on Yangon making progress in market upgrades. India government announced a new policy statement on 22nd of May that the 400,000 tons of green grams from Myanmar would have to be imported during the coming 3 months. Despite having a short time for importing, only 100,000 tons of green grams can be imported into India. Jyoti Ridu has more.
The government of India has granted permission to import 400,000 tons of green grams from Myanmar in the next 2020-2021 fiscal year. But they re-announced a new policy statement on 22nd of May that 400,000 tons of green grams from Myanmar would have to be imported during coming 3 months. In spite of having the short time for importing, only 100,000 tons of green grams can be imported into India. Despite having the short time for importing, there is not sufficient amount of enough green grams for exporting, but nearly 200,000 tons to 250,000 tons of green grams in local market, according to Myanmar Pulses Beans and Sesame Seeds Merchants Association. Dr. Myo Lwin, the executive committee member of Myanmar Pulses Beans and Sesame Seeds Merchants Association, said,
In the import granted statement, the green grams can be imported into India until 31st of March 2021. But recently, they re-announced a new policy which stated to import the green grams into India on 31st of August 2021. The merchants supposed that the import duration from India should be extended. But there is no additional announcement till now from them. The merchants are trying to export as much as they can to reduce the delays during export. India is a main buyer country for beans, so the Myanmar Pulses Beans and Sesame Seeds Merchants Association submitted the request letter to the Ministry of Commerce and Indian Embassy to Myanmar to extend the import schedule.
The India Embassy invited the merchants for importing green grams, mung bean, and pigeon pea, and their businesses are still being conducted the inspection till now. And the license have not confirmed yet that COVID-19 hit the India seriously and imposed restriction on the restaurants, gathering, and festival. So the consumption of the beans in India also drops down. Uwin Nai, pulses and beans merchant, said Myanmar Radio about the current market conditions of beans.
The bean price jumps a little bit currently in the market. The prices of a bag of beans rise up from 45,000 jets to 58,000 jets. As the regular buyers from India are buying the beans, the green gram, pulses and mung bean are really good in sales in the market. The Chinese buyers are also buying the mung bean. Market for beans became alive till the last full moon day, but now it is really getting cold and stable. For the export, the foreign buyers come and buy the beans to the ground. That's why the prices are a little bit higher in the market. It is likely that domestic bean market will come alive again in coming danger. There is nothing left of mung bean in the local market, but it is replanted during rainy season. There were some difficulties in planting the beans as some regions faced the shortage of water without any rain last year, but now it is being replanted for the new season. The new beans and pulses will come up in the market just before October. This market condition for beans and pulses can be said well enough in comparing with other companies, and there is regenerated two-thirds of economic and social sectors.
India buys the green grams, which are mainly grown in Myanmar, other pulses and beans, pigeon peas. In addition to Myanmar, mung bean is also grown in Africa and Australia.
That's the report, and Myanmar merchants request extension of the import schedule for green grams. That's all with the reports on Myanmar Today. Now let's move into international news here on Myanmar Today. Chinese authorities have granted the first intervention patent to a domestically developed COVID-19 vaccine candidate, which experts said demonstrates the vaccine originality and creativity and would enhance the international market's trust in Chinese-developed COVID-19 vaccines. The vaccine, a recombinant adenovirus vaccine, is co-developed by Chinese biopharmaceutical firm CanSino Biologics Inc., one of the vaccine candidates' co-developers, and a team led by Chinese military infectious disease expert Chen Wei. According to a document published by the website of China's National Intellectual Property Administration, the vaccine can start mass production in a short time period in case of an outbreak.
China has granted its first patent for a COVID-19 vaccine. It's developed by a team from the Academy of Military and Medical Sciences and the company CanSino Biologics. Now it uses a weakened common cold virus to introduce genetic materials into the human body and stimulate the production of antibodies. Phase 2 clinical trials suggest it is safe and can induce an immune response. Phase 3 trials are currently underway.
Turkey drew another rebuke from the European Union on Sunday when it said its Yavuz energy drill ship would extend operations in disputed Mediterranean waters off Cyprus until mid-September. Yavuz will be accompanied by 3 other Turkish ships, according to a maritime notice that added all vessels are strongly advised not to enter the area. A standoff has intensified in recent weeks between Turkey and EU member Greece over oil and gas exploration rights at sea, and even involved a minor collision between their frigates last week. Japan's economy shrank an annualized 27.8% in the April-June quarter, the worst contraction in the nation's modern history. The coronavirus deepens its economic woes. The contraction from the previous quarter was slightly worse than expectations, but less severe than declines seen in many other industrial economies. Still, it is the biggest economic contraction for Japan since comparable data became available in 1980, beyond the brutal impact of the 2008 global financial crisis. Some analysts labeled it the worst fall since World War II, though a change in calculation methods in 1980 makes comparison complicated. The pressure is rising on restaurants in China's Hong Kong Special Administrative Region as residents are reluctant to dine out amid the outbreak of the COVID-19. Local authorities reported 46 new cases in the region, with a total hitting over 4,400.
These 2 customers are a welcome sight at Holy Eats, a small restaurant and bar in Hong Kong's Soho district. In July, the government banned dining in after 6 p.m., and restaurants must operate at half capacity with a maximum of 2 people per table. Holy Eats used to be packed, with a monthly revenue of about 600,000 Hong Kong dollars from mostly dine-in customers. Now its takings are barely 15% of that, and 80% of revenue comes from delivery services.
We don't normally do lunch service here, and people know us as a dinner venue. So now that we have to force to open for lunch, we have to change our menu, manpower. We have to find a way to do more deliveries.
Wee said he cut his original staff size of 14 down to 5, and wages are down by 25%. Brand manager Christine Sage says many restaurants made up for lost revenue after the first coronavirus wave because people were eager to be out and sociable again. But she's concerned this time more people are staying home. She worries that if this ban continues, Holy Eats may only survive another 3 months.
It's a bit of a dour mood here in Soho. This whole street full of popular bars and restaurants used to be busier. Even though the ban permits 2 people per table at lunch, as you can see, there's barely anyone. A clear indication of tough times, not just for Holy Eats, but also for the entire industry.
A few kilometers to the west in Wan Chai, Manu Lee, who owns Moo Moo's Steakhouse, says average daily sales have dropped by almost 85% since the evening ban for dining in. He says one reason he's still in business is because the landlord was understanding.
They gave us a 50% off on our rent discount. Before this, when we have our second wave before, they also give us a 30% off too. So they were very proactive, and we are very lucky to have the landlord here.
Moo Moo's used to only serve steak and fries, but it's now added pork ribs to its delivery menu. Lee says his team has planned for a longer ban of 2 months. The Hong Kong Federation of Restaurants forecasts a 70% year-on-year revenue loss of 6.3 billion Hong Kong dollars this month.
It all depends on whether we can contain the pandemic spreading. We are not that pessimistic as we see that the central government is trying to assist Hong Kong and sending in a lot of experts in the pandemic area.
Simon Wong says the Federation is working with the government on a certification scheme to improve food safety and hygiene and reduce the risk of restaurants transmitting the coronavirus. He remains hopeful that the number of cases will continue to fall in the next week, so restrictions can be eased. Ann Chang, CGTN, Hong Kong.
And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I am Aga Jo. Have a great day, everyone. Stay home, stay safe. I'll see you again. Goodbye.